All right, let's get to a major piece of promotional news. Okay, the X algorithm is changing now. If you're not on Twitter or you're not on X or whatever they're calling it this week, then this isn't. You are going to think this doesn't matter to you. What it does show is a seismic shift in the way that social media algorithms are treating promotion on their platform, content on their platforms, really, but also how that changes how promotion is dealt with on the platform. So, as we know, because people don't live under rocks, Elon Musk bought Twitter. He's been making tons of changes to it. It was in the name of free speech. He was trying to keep censoring from happening because of things that happened in 2020 election leading up to it, because every election has to be 2 years long now. Ugh. So he buys X, renames it to X, and starts making a lot of changes. So in January, it started prioritizing informational.
Hold on, let me pause you real quick here. So the unique thing about Elon Musk in changing the algorithm on X is not that he's tweaking the algorithm on X. All algorithms on all social networks are always being tweaked. What's really been special about X is that they've been really transparent. Like Elon Musk himself will be like, hey, we're making such and such change, or a top person at X will say what the change is. And so even if you're not on X, I want you to pay attention to this whole segment, because this is the best insight we've gotten on algorithmic changes on any company for a really long time. The days of publishing white papers on EdgeRank or Facebook are 15 years in the past. And I've been doing research for the Amazon algorithm episode, and finding actual information that's not just speculation has been really, really difficult, because it's really hard to find out how the algorithm really works, with one beautiful exception, which is X. So Elon Musk hires a lot of the best people. He's putting them to work on the algorithms. We're going to go through some of the changes and just realize that a lot of these changes are also happening on other social networks and e-commerce platforms.
So in January, they started prioritizing informational and entertaining posts over negativity posts. So, rage bait used to be how you got people to engage with you on X. Well, that's not really the case anymore, because they saw how it was coloring things. So if your post leans into controversy, like you like arguing about publishing trends, or you're critiquing industry gatekeepers, or you're yelling at George R. R. Martin again for some reason, that actually might get its visibility reduced now, because that's not what X wants people to enjoy being on X, and negativity is exhausting. And so X actually wants to keep people happy and in it. You guys remember The Matrix? You remember when Agent Smith is talking to Morpheus, and he's saying, we actually built a place that was a paradise, and you guys didn't want it. You didn't want to be there. You kept rejecting the simulation. So we created the real world. Because the issue is, if you had too much negativity. Now, we need some negativity to make us think that it's real, but if you have too much, people leave. People are taking social media breaks all the time. And even major accounts have to leave it because of how negative it was getting. So X has been changing that and trying to prioritize informational, entertaining content over negative content. So the way that you want to switch how you do things is that instead of saying why traditional publishing is broken and you should therefore support indies, you should say, here's how this plot twist changed my novel. Here was my thought process as I was going through this particular part of it. And smaller authors can absolutely do that, and you'll get some algorithmic boost from just this simple tactical change.
You can still be negative, and there's still negative stuff that's going viral, but the stuff that performs best is identifying a problem and then proposing a solution.
Yeah.
Where the overall tone of the post is a positive post, which is actually very much in line with where we are in the zeitgeist, right? So the fourth turning is about everything kind of crashing. It's the hard times that make strong men. But as we start looking forward towards the first turning, it's about fixing the problems, right? So what pulls you out of the fourth turning, out of the crisis of the fourth turning? It's actually building things, building institutions, solving problems, making changes for the better. And part of the reason why X has been just exploding in growth is that a lot of these changes to the algorithm are in tune with the overall cultural changes that we're seeing. And that's just January. So let's go to April and May, the war on slop. Jonathan?
So if you are doing one-liners, duplicate posts, you're doing engagement farms or whatever, you got hammered, okay? Because they added the not interested button, which means you can click, I'm not interested in this post, and X's algorithm will derank it hugely. Well, you get enough of those not interested in this post put on you, and X won't even show your posts anymore. So what this means is you're not doing spammy promo blasts anymore. If you're just doing quick, buy my book, buy my book, buy my book, without any context or anything else to go along with it, X isn't going to show your post to anybody.
And X has felt a lot more human. So
yes,
one of the problems with a lot of the social networks, and Reddit's got a real problem of this, is that a lot of the content is generated by AI, or it's generated by a human using AI. YouTube is a lot of AI slop. Facebook is almost all AI slop almost all of the time. I every time I go there, I'm staggered, and I'm like, do the people on Facebook realize that none of this is real?
just bots waving at each other.
And Instagram is the same way, and a lot of these platforms have all pivoted to basically becoming TikTok. There was a recent court case, I might have mentioned this last week, I don't remember, where Meta's defense about having a monopoly in social media was that Instagram isn't actually a social network, because 90% of the content consumed on Instagram are short form videos that people are swiping up on that are not by their friends. So like, well, because you're not interacting with your friends on Instagram anymore, we're not a social network anymore. Which I'm like, that's news that you haven't put in any of your marketing.
So this is basically rewarding short form journaling. So if you want to share with your readers or your followers how your day is going and how it's affecting your writing journey, that's something that's going to be rewarded here. And you can still include the links and stuff, which we'll get to in a couple minutes. In June and August, they started boosting small accounts and AI personalization. Big accounts got throttled to level the playing field, to allow for more discovery, so that there was more stuff to scroll through on your X feed, instead of just seeing the same 3 or 4 big accounts talking to each other.
Which was a huge pivot away from Threads. So Meta launched Threads, which was Facebook's attempt to compete with X. And the big appeal of Threads was that it was mostly celebrities most of the time. And I think that was a really foolish decision, because people are very fatigued with celebrities. Who here has celebrity fatigue? You're like, I don't want to hear another actor or actress tell me their opinion about anything, right? Sound off in the chat. Like, do you want to hear more from celebrities or more from regular people?
I don't know. Sydney Sweeney's recent activity is increasing.
Certain celebrities can break out of that, right? But and by celebrities, I don't just mean actors and actresses. I mean athletes and politicians, right? Like, do you really want to know more about what Ted Cruz is up to? Do you really want to know more about what Zoran Mondani has to say? Like, I think most people want to hear from regular people on social platforms, and that's what TikTok features. TikTok is not a bunch of celebrities, right? When you're swiping up on TikTok, you're just seeing normal people that have interesting things to say. I mean, there's the occasional celebrity for sure, but not nearly as much as you might think.
And then this is the big one for me. In October and November, we got the link revival. And
this is huge for authors.
This is a huge reversal, okay? X's head of product, Nikita Beer, announced better algorithmic treatment for links. And this is to encourage journalists and writers to come back to the platform. You know, you see what happened before is if you put a link in your post, Facebook and X would derank your post. Why? Because an outbound link takes people away from the platform. And so they reduce the visibility on outbound links. So what you had to do then was, I gotta put this in the first comment. And then the Facebook and X caught on because people were saying link in first comment. So if they saw that, they still deranked your post. So you just had to learn how to craft your post and then put the link in the first comment. Now it actually helps your post on X to put an outbound link, because now you're a journalist, which is something that they're trying to encourage.
Or at least you're not getting as punished as much as you were before.
Correct.
I will say, I'm still not seeing a lot of links in my feed. So I realize that X's head of product is saying that they're not punishing people for posting links as much as they were. But I'm still seeing a lot of native content. But this is actually really good news for any authors trying to promote their book on X, because now your link to buy the book won't be platformed nearly as much as it was before.
You will also have Grok actively helping and curating people's feeds for stuff they're interested in, which is great, because if you have a reader on X who's looking for a new book, Grok is trying to help them find a new book. So they may find your book post and feed that to this person, especially, and that does work for you. That's fantastic.
And where this is headed, and Elon Musk keeps giving a countdown on X, is that Grok eventually is going to run all of the algorithms. So all of the algorithm, instead of it being tuned by shadowy people at X, it's going to be just run by Grok. It's going to be open source, supposedly, so you can see what the algorithm is, and you can influence it. So you can say to Grok, I want to see more of these Sydney Sweeney disgust memes, right? And because my feed is not enough of that. Or I want to see more conversation about indie publishing, or I want to see less conversation about politics. And you can just talk to the algorithm and it will be able to make those changes. We're not quite there yet, but we're getting closer. Elon Musk's estimates of how far away it is keep getting shorter and shorter, and more pieces of the algorithm are getting handed over to Grok.
So I'm seeing some negativity in the chat there, which I understand. Okay, nobody likes robots. You have to think of this one as an aimbot. Okay, on video games, you used to have to aim manually and hit stuff, but then they added aimbots, which would slightly help your aim to hit what it thought you were shooting at. That's fantastic when you're trying to shoot stuff. Okay, and I had this conversation earlier today. It's cheating. It's winning. If you want to live, you want to win. I want to hit what I'm shooting at. If you're on X and you're trying to get people to buy your book, use the aimbot. You know, optimize the aimbot. What are we arguing about here? Like, I'd rather this was harder. What?
You don't have to be on X, right? The novel marketing method doesn't call for social media as a promotion strategy. I will say the one social network that I personally use is X, but not as a promotion tool. In fact, we have an Author Media account there, and I don't even post when new updates are live. I use it more as a news gathering tool, but I really like the changes that Elon is making to the algorithm. And I feel like as a marketer, understanding X kind of gives me a sense of where all the other companies are headed. Because most companies are run by committees, and they move very slow, because the committee has to get to consensus before it makes a decision. Elon Musk's companies are run by leaders, right? So you have Elon Musk at the top, and then he has leaders kind of all the way down, and those leaders have authority to make decisions. And so his companies move a lot faster because they're leader-led rather than committee-led. But we do need to get to our Zeitgeist story. Did we get to all of the algorithm changes?
Yes.